time.
30
Yeah,
years.
it was the first thing we did was the Deutsche Aria. Was it?
Innsbruck.
Innsbruck.
Telemann.
Yeah, yeah. There was an early music course in Innsbruck.
We first performed together in 1982.
No, 30.
Before you were born.
My reason to play London Baroque is to have studied in Salzburg, where Charles was in Salzburg as well. Studied with Nicolas Hanocourt, and so we fell in love with the music, not with each other.
The reason I play in London Baroque is because the original harpsichordist of the ensemble, John Toll, was my teacher briefly at the Royal Academy of Music. So that was when I sort of clocked London Baroque.
Historical instruments are a more benign context for me. I feel more at home in what I would say is a smaller scale, a human scale performance. I'm not Superwoman. You have to be Superwoman to stand on the big opera stage and compete with the modern instruments when they are really loud, and there are super voices that can do this. And I never was that kind of voice, and I never really responded to that style.
When modern violinists years ago just said, "What do you play the Baroque violin? It doesn't go out of third position. It never goes higher." You know, they only value if you're a good violinist if you can play in the 27th position and really all the staccato and spicatissimo. But what's happening within the body as a center of the violin is just nearly abandoned. It's not valued.
I didn't know the pianoforte very well, really, and when I first encountered the pianoforte, it was too loud for me. The middle range is very strong on the piano, and it is not strong in the young singer. So the singer has to try to compete with this middle range. They can't hear themselves, so they abandon that. They go for the high notes. They can be heard up there, so the sopranos have lovely high notes, but hollow in the middle.
There are certain aspects which have evolved, have changed. The pressure on the violin, the kind of strings we put on the violin, and the biggest difference is, of course, the bow. The Baroque bow has very much its center, its springing point, quite close to the hand. And you just like drop, the shape of a drop, you can use and you can shape the sound of one single note. And I think that is the liveliest execution you can give to one note is wow. And from there on, you shape different phrases, different motives.
Io suono viola da gamba. Non è possibile suonare viola da gamba come un violoncello moderno. Dunque, gli strumenti, anche cembalo, viola da gamba, ti insegna come suonare.
Well, when we started, it was all exploratory. We were trying to remove all the old habits. Christopher Hogwood used the idea of removing the old varnish from a painting and revealing the original colours. That's what we thought we were doing. And in removing all these things, we were very strict in time. We didn't use much rubato. It was all very, very pure and a little bit dull, actually. And then as we got more confident, we started to live dangerously.
So it's just really interesting, I think, that actually what you do in chamber music, what you do in solo music, duo music, is you have a discourse with the printed copy, if it happens to involve a discourse with other people. But it's the discourse that's happening in the music that's important. And that's where the real discussion in chamber music happens. So it's actually only when you get out to do the concert. Period, our disciplines weren't compartmentalised, they weren't sort of separated. There was no such thing really as a violinist, a composer, a singer, a cellist or whatever. Most people were involved with both the performance and the composition of the music. They played several instruments, they all sang.
When you play a Tchaikovsky violin concerto, there's such a heavy tradition on it. That's how you play it, and that's how it has to be, and it has to be perfect. Whereas in Baroque music, you can go back to the text, question it, find out more about it, and make up your individual conclusion. And that makes all of us much more, even within a group, much more individual, and I think therefore much more interesting, because it's not all the same.
You can learn from each other, because if a violin phrases in this way, you can play Mozart on the piano because you see the same articulation marks, and as I say, if you understand how to shape notes as a singer, you can transfer that. So it's really rich because as a chamber musician, you're always learning, you're always listening.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
Yeah.